What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel. Now today we are going to be covering an amazing and interesting new addition to Pokemon Sword and Shield, and that is going to be the Dirt Bird himself, Cramorant. Now Cramorant is very much a meme of a Pokemon in itself. I mean, look at it. I mean, he's just a weird little boy, but I absolutely love him, and he is really fun. So we're going to talk about him today. He's not particularly strong. I'm just going to go ahead and warn you. He's not an amazing mon by any stretch, honestly, but he does have a really interesting niche that he can pull off that no other Pokemon can pull off, and we're going to talk about that today. So we're going to start by looking at his stats, and then we're going to look at some sets that will work for him. So his stats, as you can see, they are pretty mediocre. His stats are pretty bad, honestly. Base 70 HP, 85 attack, 55 defense, 85 special defense, 95 special defense, and 85 speed. He just doesn't really excel in anything. He's very just not good at anything as far as his stats go. But his ability is where things start to get interesting. So the way that his ability works is if you go for Surf or Dive, when he gets out of the move, he will have one of two things in his mouth. So that is called Gorging, and what is the other form? Gulping. That's right. So if he is above half health, he will be in gulping form, and he will have an Arrokuda in his mouth. So what this does is when you get hit by an attack, he then spits out the Arrokuda, and it lowers the opponent's defense by one stage and does 25% damage to them. So whatever their max HP is, it does 25% of that. So that's pretty cool, right? It helps other things to come in who may want to revenge that Pokemon. They now have a lower defense stat. However, where things get interesting is gorging form. If this Pokemon is below half and is in its form, goes for Surf or Dive, and picks up a Pikachu in its mouth, then it will also spit it at its opponent, and it will also do the 25% damage, but it will paralyze your opponent. This is where things get interesting. Being able to paralyze your opponent just because they hit you, and your opponent basically has to if they want to knock you out, unless they want to try to do it by passive damage. But this thing gets access to Roost, so it makes it really hard to do it with passive damage. You basically have to kill it and suffer something getting paralyzed. So that is one thing that Cramorant is able to do that no other Pokemon can do, and so it makes it an interesting thing to try to work against. It's a really cool mon. I really like it. So this first set we're going to look at is a heavy duty boots set. Obviously he's a flying water type. Flying types do not like these stealth rocks, do not like any of these entry hazards, and so we're going to be running boots on it so it doesn't take a bunch of damage. We're going to be running Surf just to take advantage of Gulp Missile, and we have Hurricane, Roost, and Defog. Now the interesting thing about this set running Defog is you are lowering your opponent's evasion when you hit Defog. So Hurricane is actually going to hit more easily. So these moves work together in a little bit. And it's really nice to be able to just get off a Defog. Maybe you went for Surf the turn before on something switching in, and now you have an Arrokuda or a Pikachu in your mouth, and now you go for Defog as they try to kill you, and then you spit out whatever you had in your mouth at them, and then you can go into a better counter. So not only did he get a Defog off, he also put your opponent in a really bad position going into whatever you are bringing in next. So that's why we have this as a support Pokemon. It's really not meant to shine as itself. It's meant to allow other things to shine really well, and I think it actually does a pretty good job at that. So it's a really good support set. I really like this. So now we have a more offensive option. Now the only reason I'm running Life Orb on these next two sets is so that we still have access to Roost. Now we are obviously going to be running Surf on this set, Hurricane, and now we have Ice Beam. This thing actually gets decent coverage, to be honest. Like, it gets bad stats, but it gets pretty decent moves, honestly. It gets Hydro Pump as well. That's about it on the special side, to be honest. I don't think anything down here is really helpful. But, I mean, these three moves right here are really all it needs, to be honest, and it's all we can really ask for in a flying and water type. I think it's plenty, and plus it gets Roost. Getting access to Roost is automatically huge for this mon. It's great for any mon, honestly. And so, you know, you have the extra power with Life Orb, and then you are able to Roost that off, and you still get access to the Arrokuda and the Pikachu being able to spit those out with Surf, which is what you're going to click most of the time, outside if there is something like a Jellicent or something like that. Okay, so now we can look at the physical set and look at this coverage. He gets Brave Bird, Liquidation, and Superpower. Him getting Superpower is something that I was really surprised to see, but, you know, we'll take it. I think it's interesting that something this weird looking gets Superpower, but yeah, we are going to also run Life Orb on this. Same thing with running Roost on it, and yeah, so obviously we have Brave Bird for flying type, Liquidation. Now, you could run Dive on this just so you still have the Arrokuda and Pikachu tech, but I tend to want to only run single turn moves. I don't like running 2-turn moves. They're just not as good. It gives your opponents more options, and that's never something you want to do. And then you have Superpower to help you with maybe normal types that want to come in, maybe an Ice type with Freeze Dry. Anything like that, you would then be able to deal with that accordingly. So now an unexpected set, right? A Scarf set. So Cramorant is very slow, right? At 85, well, I mean, not very slow, I guess. 85 is actually decent in this metagame. This metagame is honestly the slowest metagame I've seen in a very long time. So 85 speed isn't awful, especially talking about how, you know, everybody talks about Galarian Darmanitan being blazing fast. That's only 10 points higher than this. So honestly, this being Scarfed isn't awful. It still outspeeds several things, but I mean, you know, it's an unexpected thing. Somebody may bring in something expecting to just kill it, and then they just don't. They can't. So it's really cool. I really like this. Again, on this set, you could run Dive instead of Liquidation, just because this mon really does appreciate having the Arrokuda tech. But I personally like only running single turn moves. And then also with this, you can do Throat Chop, which helps you against ghosts. Otherwise, you don't have any super effective way to hit ghosts or psychic types, things like Hatterene that may want to come in. Yeah, anything like that. This would help you against that. So yeah, this thing actually gets really good coverage, which I thought was really interesting. It also gets, let's see, it gets Sleep Talk. Not really, we don't really care about that. It does get Agility. We don't have an Agility set on here, but it does get that. It gets Air Slash, so you could try to flinch people. I mean, it gets decent moves. It really does. I really can't ask for a whole lot more. It gets Scald, but we didn't run that. But yeah, this thing gets pretty decent stuff, honestly. I really like it. All right, so for our meme. Now, I will admit this meme is not my set. This is a set that someone else was running, and I saw it, and I'm like, that's a meme, but it's so good. I really just need to include it. So this is Rocky Helmet Endure Cramorant. So this set's weird, right? This set's really, really odd, but I think it's actually pretty good. But it's so weird. Anyway, so what happens is you get hit with something, or let me back up. You use Surf, and you have something in your mouth. Hopefully, it is a Pikachu. So then you use Endure. Endure makes sure that you survive the next hit that the opponent goes for. So then this allows you to live on 1 HP, because Endure goes first. You live on 1 HP, spit out the Pikachu that was in your mouth, paralyze your opponent, and then get off another Surf against your opponent, and then do more damage, while all the while doing Rocky Helmet damage. I mean, say what you want about it, but this set actually is pretty interesting and pretty nice. I like it. I like it a lot. It's got its place, and honestly, I think that this set is one of its better sets, to be honest. Even though how much of a meme it is, it's one of its best sets, honestly. I do think that this is its best set, but I think that this is its second best. So, you know, you ought to go out and try it. I think this meme is actually really, really good, at least just for what this mon is. It allows it to do something very special that nothing else can do. So, anyway, that is Cramorant for you. I think that he's a really awesome little mon. He will always be the dirt bird, and eventually I think I will do a Wi-Fi battle with him once I get one made. Yeah, so I think he's really cool, and hopefully you guys go out and use him and paralyze all kinds of things by spitting Pikachus at their face. So anyway, guys, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.